What's going on, everybody? This is Rob. Last night I camped at a really great spot in the Loyalsock State Forest, which is in like north central Pennsylvania, just a little bit north of the town of Williamsport. I camped in a spot called the Masten Camping Area, which was the site of an old logging town called Masten. And there's not much that remains of the old logging town. I'll show you in a second a smokestack, like a little chimney thing that's right over there in one of the campsites. But there are, I think, six or seven campsites here. There's a bath, a restrooms, and then there's like, I guess, a hunting cabin over that way. And then there's a few other like hunting cabins and whatever like scattered throughout the general little area. But for the most part, you're in a forest, there's dirt roads, not a whole lot of traffic. There's a thing called the Old Loggers Trail right over here that a lot of people do. It's like a backpacking trip that takes 2 or 3 days to accomplish. I think it's like 23 miles or something like that. Now, what I wanted to do is show everybody a little tour of the Masten Camping Area and show you each individual site. I'm the only one here at the moment. So first things first, let me show you why I think number 23 is the best of all the campsites in Masten. It's spacious. It's got a nice picnic. All of them have picnic tables, but this one is particularly spacious. And the reason I really like this one is because unlike a lot of the other campsites that I took a look at, it had a very smooth, flat ground on which to pitch the tent. A lot of the other campsites have a lot of tree roots and other little things in the ground that make it not as easy to set up a campsite. But as you can see, we are in basically the middle, and right over here through this little path over here is the little restroom. You know, it's like the pit toilets or whatever. But they are fairly clean, and you know, they have rolls of toilet paper in them already, though, as is always best practice, bring your own toilet paper. You never know how it's going to be when you show up. But let's make our way through this area first, and we're going to check out the campsite that I talked about earlier that has the little chimney thing, because that is probably the most interesting of the campsites, and that's a decent campsite too. The only thing with that one is you're kind of like right at the front of the entrance where all the people will come driving in, and you know, it seems a little less private. There's no privacy when you're camping. You're out in the woods. If people are around, they're going to see what you're doing. But this one is kind of like everyone who comes in is going to take a look at you. But you do get to camp by this cool thing. And I should also say all these sites have these fire pit thingies. But this one has this chimney thing, and that might be interesting to camp near. This one also has a good flat area with not, like, this would be a great place for tents too. Now, making our way over to number 21. And just so you know, this site with the chimney is number 20. As you can see, it says permit required. So let's make our way over to 21. it looks like a beautiful site. It's kind of little space cut out in the woods. The problem is where you would pitch your tent, which would probably for me be over in this little area. There's quite a few tree roots in the ground, so there's no perfect spot. I looked and there's really no perfect spot, and I have a large 4-person tent, as you saw earlier in the video. There's no place in here that could completely avoid that. Probably the best option would be maybe over here, but even there, I mean, there's no good option. And moving over to this side, it's even worse. There's like roots, a giant root right here, and rocks and roots and things like that. Plus the guy that had his camper, his dogs looked like they were rolling around on the ground now, so there is dog hair. Wouldn't bother me too much. Kind of funny. The dogs were nice. I petted them. I talked to the guy. He was a nice guy. Noticed this before. There's a little trail right here, and I think that might go down to the stream, and I'm gonna check that out. We'll check that out at the end of the video, because this purpose of this video so far is to show you guys the various campsites. Now, making our way back, as you can see, this comes back around, and that's my campsite over to the right. I don't know if you can see through the woods my tent, but we're going to first check out what I think might be the worst of the campsites here, number 22. Maybe not the worst. Maybe that one. 21 might actually be the worst because of all the roots and stuff. This one is 22, but it's very tiny. So if you have a really small tent, this might be fine for you. But honestly, this one has some of the same problems. There's roots all over the ground. You're not going to find an ideal spot to pitch your tent here unless you have a really small tent, and it could go like maybe just like right there or something. And even making our way. One thing I will say about all these sites, they're clean. The people that have been here before keep them clean. You could probably pitch a tent over here. This is kind of good. Right in this little spot here. Right now, the sun is shining on it, so that would at least keep the ground kind of dry, dries out the ground. But still, it has the problem that all the other ones do with the roots. Now, I'm going to make our way over to these other campsites up here. These might be really good, too. I didn't get a chance to look at these yet because there was a family camping here up until just about an hour ago. But these look like they might be really nice sites too. They're as large as the one I'm at, number 23. They could almost have like another site right here. It's kind of strange that they don't, but 23 takes up this huge amount of space. But here we go. We're going to check out this site. I don't know what number this is yet. We will know in a second. Oh, and this one has like a concrete ground. Interesting. And actually, this would be a really nice campsite too. I like having a little bit of like hard ground too, because just for kind of hanging out. The only thing with this one though is I don't see a picnic table. So if you don't have anything to make up for not having a picnic table, you're kind of stuck here with nothing to put your stuff on, but you do have this concrete ground. However, you also have some really nice grassy areas that you could pitch your tent. Most notably over here, though that's kind of, this site has its positives, but there's also a lot of negatives to this site because this is nice clear ground, but it's on an angle, so you're not going to have a flat spot. So I would say this one, which I'm about to show you the number of, let's see here, this one, number 24, I would say still that 23, the one I'm in, is the best option. Now, making our way, I didn't check out this other site over here either because it was so close to these people and I didn't want to disturb them. But making our way around, and this little robin is crossing our path here. We're going to check out number 25. Number 25. Let's see what number 25 looks like. Number 25 is a nice looking site. Again, it has a smaller concrete slab. Again, though, not a whole lot of like good flat ground with no roots to pitch your tent. I suppose you could pitch the tent over here. Seems to be somewhat free of roots, but the problem is it's crooked. It's not flat ground, so that's not ideal. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, this one does have a picnic table. If you have a small enough tent in between these trees over here, might be a good spot. Or if you're hammock camping, actually, this might be a good spot for the hammock camping with all these trees. So, you know, depending on the kind of camping you're doing. If you have a camper, I don't think you're allowed RVs here, but I do believe you're allowed, you know, truck campers. So this might be a good spot depending on what you're doing. But so far, I'm going to have to go with 23, which this, I believe, is just, there's a couple hunting cabins up here. Nobody seems to be at these cabins today, but I have seen some cars drive by. This road over here leads to like nothing, leads to like an empty field, which maybe in the autumn or winter you could walk down into a little bit more, but I'm not going to do that with the overgrowth from the summer right now. But let's just make our way here. It's kind of cool looking, big empty field. This is beautiful out here, by the way. Loyalsock Forest, it's a beautiful area. I mean, it's gorgeous. Make our way. There's no other rentable campsites, I don't believe, but there is the hikers campsite. So like I said, there's a long trail here called the Old Loggers Path, because like I said, Masten was an old logging town, and this was once like a major lumber area in Pennsylvania. So the Old Loggers Path is long, and it takes 2 or sometimes 3 days, depending on your fitness and how often you stop and what you feel like doing. But this is one of the places, depending on where you start, this is one of the places that you could camp if you're on that Old Loggers Path. And I'm going to show you the hikers campsite, which you don't have to reserve. If you're hiking, you can just show up here and pitch your tent in this little area. And not much to it. There's no table. It'd be cool if they put like a little picnic table for the hikers, you know. Be nice to be on a hike and then you get to a place where you can use the picnic table. But to be honest, if you were one of those people and these sites are empty, you could probably just pick one of the other sites and do that. But anyway, as you can see, there's a little sign that says backpacking camping area. We got somebody in their Jeep. And then this trail that goes back to my campsite, number 23, as I said, clearly the best one. So if you're gonna rent a site in Masten Camping Area, and if I ever came back here again, without a doubt, I would go for number 23. As you can see, I got the little guitar out here. And now I'm gonna stop this video and we're gonna go down that path and we're gonna see where that leads to. I stated earlier in the video, I don't know much about the town of Masten, the logging town of Masten. However, when you do show up to Masten Camping Area, they do have this sign that gives some information about Masten and what was going on here. So basically, it is hard to imagine that this quiet and pleasant setting was once the site of a busy lumber town, or that a multitude of young men worked here on conservation projects. An understanding of this history brings about a greater appreciation of what now exists at the Loyalsock State Forest. The lumbermen who worked hard to feed the mills left behind numerous railroad grades that are now used as trails, foundations, and other remnants can still be found throughout the area. The Civilian Conservation Corps worked diligently to improve the conditions of the forest after the logging era and created much of the infrastructure you will enjoy on your visit. Masten was nestled in the remote mountain valley of Pleasant Stream, and like many small towns of the era, was given rise by the booming lumber industry. In 1906, the first sawmill was built to cut hemlock and was shortly followed by a hardwood mill in 1908. Over the 25 years of activity at Masten, it is estimated that a total of 500 million board of feet lumber was produced at the mills. Get some pictures of what was going on back then. Masten was said to have been a pleasant place to live in comparison with other lumber towns. The town was composed of 90 homes stretching over 3/4 of a mile